Building wealth is not directly related to income. Most people think building wealth is primarily a function of income. Earn more, save more, invest more. But if that were true, then higher earners would consistently become financially secure. In reality, many don't, because wealth is not just a financial outcome. It's a behavioral one, and more specifically, a psychological one. Across income brackets, a consistent pattern appears. As income rises, spending tends to rise with it. In behavioral economics, this is closely linked to hedonic adaptation, the tendency for humans to quickly normalize improvements in their standard of living. What once felt like progress becomes baseline, and once something becomes baseline, maintaining it feels necessary. At the same time, financial decisions are not made purely rationally. A significant portion of everyday spending is influenced by automatic, subconscious processes rather than deliberate planning, which means financial outcomes are often shaped less by what people know and more by how they behave repeatedly over time. So instead of focusing on strategies, this video focuses on 5 specific habits that consistently appear in people who build wealth over time, each one grounded in behavior, not theory, and each one becomes progressively more important as we go. Hi there, my name is Nell, and on this channel, we break down how money actually works, not just financially, but psychologically. If you're trying to understand that more clearly, you can subscribe. The first habit is this: decoupling income growth from lifestyle expansion. Most people allow their spending to scale proportionally with their income. If income increases by 20%, lifestyle gradually expands to absorb that increase. Not instantly, but incrementally. This behavior is reinforced by 2 key psychological mechanisms. First, reward reinforcement. When income increases, the brain anticipates improved living conditions. Upgrading life feels like a reward for effort. Second, loss aversion. Once a higher standard of living is established, reducing it feels like a loss, even if it's financially beneficial. The result is a quiet equilibrium. Income rises, expenses follow, and the financial position remains relatively unchanged. From the outside, it looks like progress, but structurally, very little has changed. People who build wealth tend to behave slightly differently. They allow income to grow, but they slow down the rate at which their lifestyle adjusts. Not drastically, but deliberately. That small difference creates what is effectively a financial surplus margin, and over time, that margin becomes the foundation for everything else. The second habit is this: controlling immediate reward bias. Instead of relying on discipline, most financial advice assumes that people make rational decisions. Spend less, save more, invest consistently. But in reality, most decisions involving money are not rational. They are reward-driven. Research in behavioral psychology shows that the brain assigns significantly more value to immediate rewards than delayed ones, even when the delayed reward is objectively better. This is often referred to as present bias, or more formally, temporal discounting. This explains something most people experience, but rarely question. Spending money feels good immediately. Saving money does not. Buying something improves your present state. Saving improves your future state, which the brain undervalues. This is also why discipline alone tends to fail over time, because you're asking the brain to reject an immediate reward in favor of something it naturally discounts. People who build wealth don't rely on willpower to solve this. They change the structure of their decisions. Instead of constantly deciding whether to spend or save, they reduce the number of decisions altogether. They automate, they pre-commit, they design their environment so that the default action is aligned with long-term outcomes. For example, savings are moved automatically before spending occurs. Investment contributions happen without requiring monthly decisions. Spending accounts are separated from long-term capital, which means, by the time a financial decision becomes conscious, the most important choices have already been made. The third habit is this: aligning financial behavior with identity, not motivation. Most people approach money through short-term intention. They try to budget, they try to save, they try to be more disciplined. But these attempts are often temporary, because they are not rooted in identity. Behavior that conflicts with identity tends to be unstable, while behavior that aligns with identity tends to persist, even without effort, which means if someone does not internally see themselves as financially disciplined, they will continuously revert to patterns that match that identity. This explains why two people can have the same financial knowledge, but produce completely different outcomes. One person saves, invests, and plans consistently. The other understands those same concepts, but struggles to apply them, not because of intelligence, but because of internal alignment. Identity acts as a filter. It influences what feels normal, what feels excessive, and what feels acceptable. And over time, that filter shapes hundreds of small financial decisions, most of which are never consciously analyzed. People who build wealth tend to internalize a specific identity, not necessarily rich, but someone who manages money deliberately. That shift changes behavior in subtle ways. Spending is evaluated differently. Saving feels consistent, not forced. Long-term thinking becomes natural, not effortful. And importantly, these behaviors don't rely on constant motivation. The fourth habit is this: designing financial systems that make good decisions automatic and bad decisions harder. Financial outcomes are not driven by isolated decisions. They are driven by repeated behaviors, which means the real question is not, how do I make better decisions? But, how do I make better decisions easier and worse decisions harder? In behavioral science, this is referred to as choice architecture. The structure surrounding decisions influences behavior, even when people believe they are acting independently. In a financial context, if spending is frictionless, it increases. If saving requires effort, it decreases. People who build wealth reverse this dynamic. They introduce friction to spending and remove friction from saving and investing. Spending requires deliberate action. Saving happens automatically. Investing happens consistently. These are not extreme changes. They are structural adjustments. But over time, they shift behavior at scale because they reduce reliance on discipline and increase reliance on system design. When financial systems are designed correctly, consistency becomes the default. And when consistency becomes the default, long-term outcomes begin to change. The fifth habit is this: protecting the gap and giving it time to compound. All the previous habits lead to one outcome: a small difference between what you earn and what your life requires. That difference often feels insignificant in the short term, but over time, it becomes one of the most important variables in financial life. Because wealth is not created by income alone, it's created by what remains and how long it remains. When that gap exists consistently, it becomes capital. And once capital exists, time begins to interact with it through compounding, through reinvestment, through accumulation. This is where the process becomes nonlinear. Small, consistent differences in behavior begin producing disproportionately large differences in outcomes, not immediately, but predictably over time. If income and lifestyle grow at the same rate, the gap disappears. And when the gap disappears, there is nothing for time to multiply, which means progress remains linear, no matter how high income becomes. This is why all 5 habits matter. Each one protects the same thing: the gap. Decoupling income from lifestyle creates it. Controlling reward bias protects it. Identity makes it consistent. Systems make it automatic. And time is what turns it into wealth. This is also why wealth rarely feels dramatic while it's being built, because nothing about the process feels extreme. It feels ordinary. Small decisions, repeated consistently, over long periods of time. And that's what makes it easy to overlook, because people tend to look for complexity when the real driver is consistency. So if there's one thing to take from this, it's not to chase better financial decisions occasionally. It's to build patterns that quietly work in your favor every single day. If this helped you understand money a little more clearly, you'll probably find value in the kinds of ideas we explore here. This channel isn't about quick answers. It's about understanding how money actually works beneath the surface. And if that's something you want to keep improving, you're always welcome to stay. Oh, by the way, the first video breaks down why earning more doesn't always lead to progress and how that pattern quietly forms. It introduces the concept of the gap, so you can go watch it next if you haven't.